Hello everybody, so I have just arrived at a new naturist destination. So I am here at Origan Village. I've just checked in and I am about to get settled in and of course take my clothes off, and there are some welcome drinks in about an hour, so I'm going to go and check that out and go and socialize and mingle. But for now I'm going to get settled in, unpack. Every time I go to a place I like to have my food and everything all organized and all of my toiletries and stuff, so that it still feels a little bit like home. So I'm going to do that and I will bring you along as I usually do. Welcome to Origan Village here in France, which is where I will be staying for the next 3 nights. So Origan Village is a 4-star naturist campsite located in Puget Theniers between the Mediterranean and the Mercantour Park overlooking the Var River. Only an hour from Nice on the Côte d'Azur, you have easy access to the sea even though you are in the mountains, so you get the best of both worlds here. At Origan Village, there is a variety of accommodation options that you can choose from, ranging from chalets to mobile homes to camping pitches. So there's something there for the solo traveler, couples, groups of friends or families. Origan Village is a bustling place with plenty of facilities and a plethora of organized activities to enjoy during the summer months. With a heated swimming pool, which the resort is mainly centered around, you also have the paddling pool and water slides for the kids. You have access to a restaurant, a lounge bar, terraces with stunning views where you can enjoy your meals and drinks, a wellness center, a sauna, a pétanque court, a tennis court, an épicerie or mini grocer where you can buy basic goods, a souvenir shop, and Wi-Fi hotspots. So here they also offer a range of services which include catering and takeaway meals from the restaurant, daily fresh bread and pastry order service, a massage service, and a self-service laundry. So here in the summer months, depending on whether you're feeling like getting active or being active or getting creative, there are so many organized activities to choose from. So some of these organized activities include things like guided hikes, a petanque tournament, which I believe is currently happening as I film this, rafting, kayaking, canyoning. There's musical evenings, pottery classes, yoga classes, trips down to the river to enjoy mud baths, and so much more. There really is something happening every day here at Origan in the summer months. They also organize entertainment on certain evenings during the week that you can enjoy. So I think overall, you know, Origan is enjoyed for its stunning location, but also for its bustling environment, where you have the option to just either enjoy the tranquility that the natural environment offers you, or, you know, enjoy some of the organized activities depending on whether you're feeling like getting creative, being active, or socializing. But one thing is for sure, you're certain to never get bored here, because there is always something to do, or there's always something on. So I am excited to show you around this popular naturist campsite and bring you along for the adventure. I'll see you soon. Good morning, everybody. So I am on my way to the reception area to go and collect my baguette that I ordered last night, so that I can make some breakfast. So like with many of the other naturist places I've stayed at here in France, they offer like baguettes, croissants, all that yummy stuff. You just have to put in an order the night before in order to pick up your goods the next morning. Oh my gosh, I'm getting confused, sorry. That's what I'm on my way to do, walking from my accommodation to reception, which is like a couple of 100 meters. Yeah, so I think it's really cool that you can get all that, like you can get fresh bread, fresh pastries, and usually you just have to order before like 7 p.m. the night before, and then pick up your goods the next morning. So I will bring you along for breakfast once I've prepared my goods and collected my baguette. Hello everybody. So I have just gone and got my baguette for breakfast this morning from down at the reception area where there's a little epicerie or grocery store. And I had spoken to one of the ladies that works here, Sophie, last night at the there was welcome drinks where the staff kind of gathers and you get to meet the staff and they just talk about all the events coming up for the week. So it was really informative, a lot of information to take on because there's a lot that goes on here at Origan Village. But I had mentioned to Sophie that I have a naturist blog where I go to different naturist locations and film, and would it be okay if I'm filming? And she said it should be fine, and she said just to let some of the gentlemen know at reception the next morning. So I did that when I went to get my baguette, and one of the gentlemen was just asking, like, they were sort of like, because there was a little bit of the language barrier first and foremost, and they kind of understood and were like, yep, that's okay as long as you're not filming other people. And I said, yes, I understand that, that's totally fine. I'll just be filming myself and like the facilities and like the property and the amenities and that kind of thing. And then anyway, I was filming myself in the epicerie, and then I was filming outside of the reception area, and he came outside and was just like, you know, because when they said yes, occasionally you come across people, I suppose, where they're a little bit apprehensive, which totally understandable because I suppose they're safeguarding the privacy and discretion of their guests, which totally makes sense. But yeah, it was just like questioning, just asking like, what's this for? Is it for commercial use? Like, where are you posting this stuff? And so I was just telling him, and I gave him the name of my blog, and I said you can check out like my videos on YouTube and like the nature of what I do, it's all there. But yeah, it was, and then they were just like, okay, yeah, as long as, you know, they're very emphatic on as long as you're not filming other people, which, you know, I go out of my way to make sure I'm not filming other people, which can obviously be a little bit, it means it can be a little bit difficult, I suppose, really capturing the essence of a place when you're just seeing just me and like the amenities, which is, I suppose, informative. But sometimes it's hard to really capture the essence and the aliveness of a place when, you know, you're not really seeing like other people and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's, of course, these kinds of environments are very challenging to navigate when it comes to creating content, filming. So yeah, like there are places where it's pretty quiet and it's easy enough, but Origan Village is actually quite busy. It's quite a bustling kind of place. There's a lot going on, a lot of families, a lot of kids, people coming and going out of places quite frequently. So even like in the reception, there was just constantly a flow of people coming and going, which can definitely make filming a little bit tricky. And of course you have people looking at you like at a naturist place with a camera, just like, you know, what are they doing with a camera? I totally understand. But yeah, I just wanted to, I know I've done this in some previous videos, just reiterate, I suppose, how challenging it can be to really capture the essence of some of these naturist places, because filming and navigating filming in a place like this where there's nudity involved, and where, you know, obviously nudity is still such a sensitive topic, and it's still there's a lot of, I suppose, discretion around a lot of people wanting to be discreet about their choice or their involvement in the lifestyle, which again makes total sense because, you know, I get a lot of people that are like, don't want to be in the videos or photos because they're like teachers, for example. And yeah, it just kind of like reiterates and just sort of highlights the conditioning in society, which I suppose gives people the reason to feel like they've got to hide their involvement or their choice in the lifestyle, because, you know, as an outsider looking in, people might think that the naturist lifestyle is weird, or that it's sexual, there's orgies going on, or that it's perverted or creepy in some way, which is so unfortunate, that we feel like we've got to hide that aspect of ourselves, whether it be because of cultural conditioning, you know, because of our professions, our jobs. And yes, like, I'm sort of rambling here, but yeah, it just highlights to me why this work is so necessary and why it's so important to continue to show uncensored nudity, because the more we continue to censor our nudity and to censor our naked bodies, like, nudity will just continue to be taboo. It will continue to be this thing that is still so tied in with sex, because that's the way we've been, that's a lot of the reason why we hide it in the first place, because we feel like it's like a sexual thing, that it's got to be hidden away from everybody. And I suppose that just perpetuates this narrative that nudity is shameful, that it's profane, that it's sexual, that it's inappropriate. And it also perpetuates the stigma, I feel, around the naturist lifestyle, because the more we hide it, the more people are still, it's like, why are they so secretive about it? Or why, like, you know, if they don't know what's going on, if they don't actually see it, they're still going to have that perception that it's, you know, are they just all having sex, or is it, you know, just like some weird hippie like sex cult? I don't know. So yeah, it just, like, the questioning, I suppose, just got me thinking, like, the questioning, because of course the safeguarding of people's privacy and discretion is, I think, of course, of utmost importance, which is why I respect it. I totally understand this, but that also just highlights to me, like, the fact that we feel like we've got to hide it in the first place. I think that's the bigger problem, because the only reason why we feel that way, I believe, is because society has made us feel a certain way about nudity, about the naturist lifestyle, and therefore we feel shame around it, or therefore we feel like we've got to hide it because other people will view it as inappropriate. Even though we know in ourselves that it's not inappropriate, other people will view it as inappropriate. Sorry, I was just like making sure my microphone was on. Anyway, so yeah, it just really highlighted, I think, why it's so important that I'm doing the work that I'm doing, and that I'm showcasing my work in the way that I do, in a very candid, uncensored way, because the more people see this, that's how we normalize this. That's how we normalize non-sexual nudity. That's how we normalize and or like start to remove the stigma around the naturist lifestyle, because the more people see this and they see that, you know, I'm naked, I'm just sitting having my breakfast, I'm by the pool, and of course the more people get involved in the filming, the better, I think, because people can then see the interactions, because I think that's what remains taboo, is how do we as naked people interact? Because it's one thing to see me doing my thing naked, which, you know, is great to at least to just be able to start to normalize nudity, but I think what is really interesting to people on a more psychological level is, how do naturists interact with one another? Like, what's it like when she goes up and gets her baguette at the store in the nude? What's the staff doing? Are they naked? Or what are they thinking? What are their reactions? I think that's the kind of stuff that people also need to see, because I think that's what's going to really remove the stigma around the lifestyle, because people will start to go, oh, okay, so they're just at a pool sitting around, they happen to be naked, that's what I'd be doing at a textile resort. Okay, so they're at a restaurant eating their lunch, eating their dinner in the nude. Okay, that's what I'd be doing, I just happen to be wearing clothes. Okay, she's going to the grocery store to get some groceries, happens to be in the nude, but okay, that was a totally normal interaction, just like I would have it at the grocery store in my clothes. And I think people start to look at it and go, okay, so they're just doing everyday things that I would be doing at a textile or clothed resort, and they just happen to not be wearing clothes. And then they might start to think, you know what, that looks really kind of, as abstract as it might seem initially, I think they'd look at it and go, that actually looks really liberating. That looks really freeing. That looks really empowering. I might like to try it. I might be curious. And so I think that's why it's important that we really showcase the lifestyle as authentically as we can, and actually show the lifestyle as authentically as we can, because I think that's the way we start to remove the stigma from it. Because if people aren't seeing it, they're only going to have the narratives that society has created for them. They're only going to have that narrative to go by, those assumptions, the prejudices, rather than the facts, the truth. So yeah, that's my Monday morning musings here at Origan Village. As simple as that kind of interaction today at reception was, it just really, reiterated why I'm really proud of the fact that I really show as best, like to the best of my ability, the lifestyle and my experiences at these resorts, campsites, beaches, as candidly as I possibly can, and in an uncensored way, because censorship just seems to be getting worse. And if we follow those rules and play that game, well, it's only going to continue, and we're only going to make it more challenging for ourselves when it comes to standing up for our, beliefs, our ideals, whatever you want to call it, our values. So yeah, I just thought I would share that with you all. Wow, 11 minutes I've been recording. Okay, I can ramble. I know the lighting's going in and out. It's like trying to focus on me, but then it's like getting all this light from the background, and I think when I sit still, that it's just like, oh, she must just be a tree. We'll focus on the background and see if we can see, there we go. But then I'll move and it will focus on me, right? Woo, yeah. Okay. Anyway, just a little bit of food for thought. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic, and yeah, how do you navigate, I suppose, being an advocate for the lifestyle, for normalizing non-sexual nudity, for standing up against censorship, whilst also, I suppose, depending on your profession, depending on your culture, like your values or your family's values or whatever it is. Yeah, how do you navigate that, right? It's such a tricky one, but I think it's something we need to really look at, because I'd love it if there was just like a day when, we're at a naturist resort and we don't have to feel the shame around being loud and proud about our involvement in the lifestyle, because society in general is letting go of that old narrative of nudity is taboo and nudity is inappropriate and it's vulgar and it's profane and it's just like it's sexual thing. Because I think when we can focus on that stuff as individuals and we start talking about it, having conversations, and that's when society, it's like it all starts on an individual level, when we start to ask ourselves these questions and really be discerning with our actions. But yeah, it is a tricky one. But yeah, it would be so nice to be able to film at these places and just be able to get a camera out and everyone's okay with it, because who cares in terms of, it's like no one cares that you are involved in the naturist lifestyle and you're a teacher, because it's not weird, because nudity is not weird, because being involved in the naturist lifestyle is not weird, therefore the link is not weird, the correlation is not weird. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm going to stop rambling, because anyway, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And yeah, how do you navigate that if you're in that position? And how do we make, if that is the case and you're in that tricky position, how do we make steps forward so that we can really begin to shed the shame or fear of judgment around being involved in the lifestyle. Yeah. All right. Monday morning musings from moi here in France, in, how do you say, is it Puget Theniers? I think that's where I am. Anyway, Origan Village. Catch up soon. Everybody, so it is Tuesday morning. I'm just rushing to get to a yoga class here, so I'm just about there, and I'll fill you in on how it goes afterwards. See you soon. Finished up at the yoga class. So it was a gentleman. I don't believe he's actually a yoga teacher. I think he's here on holidays but loves doing yoga and thought it would be nice for us all to do like a yoga session together. So it was just like a recorded like audio yoga class, and we all just, I suppose, yeah, did a collective class all together, which was nice and slow, so very beginner friendly. But yeah, I am going to have some breakfast now and then get some filming done. I'd love to try and organise to play tennis, but we'll see. I've got to find someone to play with. That's the